room now. Do you guys just want to let me know that you can hear me all good? Just tap it out in the chat box, just in here. Come on, team, don't be shy. I'm looking for one confirmation that you can hear me. Beautiful, there we go. Awesome. We'll just wait a couple more seconds for everyone else to join. Hey, Jordan. Jackson, how are you, mate? Can see a few familiar names, not faces, but a few familiar names. While we wait for the rest of the guys to join, we did this last time. If you guys just want to let me know which type of events that you're in, whether that be music, corporate, clubs, pubs, festivals, whatever it might be, just so I can get an idea of the room. Hey, Samuel. Cool, we've still got some numbers still trickling through, so we'll wait a couple more minutes. Cool, music, clubs, hospitality. Yep, so generally about the same as the last workshop that we did, mostly music events. Beer and cider festival, nice, love it. Club events, cool. Boat parties, love it. Intimate raves, that sounds exciting. All right, team. Well, I think we've probably got most people on that have joined. I can see the numbers were steaming through at the start and they've started to drop off a bit now. So I think everyone's in the room. So firstly, I just wanted to say thank you so much for your time. I know your time's valuable. We're all very, very busy people being in events. So it's not lost on me, you giving me your time. So thank you very much. Today will probably be around an hour. We're going to try and keep it under that hour. We'll do about 45 minutes or so of going through the content, and then we'll spend 10 to 15 on the Q&A, which will be really, really exciting. You guys can ask me anything, throw anything at me, and I'm happy to help. So as we sort of go on through the session, definitely tap questions in the question box as we're going along. I may stop off at checkpoints and answer a few questions here and there, but we'll keep most of them till the end. We've got a lot of content to get through, so I'm going to try and whip through it and make it really, really practical for you guys. So the question that you're probably asking yourself is, how can I use ads to sell out my events? Now, after we did the last workshop, I kind of got inundated with a lot of people who were on the workshop, who watched the replay, and then people who also joined the Sellout Academy. Just ads. This is where all the questions came from. So that's why I've decided to do this workshop, to really, really focus in on the ad side of things, because as you guys probably know, event ads are just a totally different beast to ads from other industries, whether that's e-com, B2B, anything like that. And there's no real playbook. There never really has been. And that's what we're trying to change. So that's what I really want to help you guys with today, and go through and take you through step by step how we've done it over many, many years and had a lot of success. And it's probably going to be more practical than you would have experienced before. I've really drilled it down into some real gold little nuggets for you guys, so then you can go and take away and apply them to your ad campaigns. Now, the ones that were on the last workshop, or people that have heard me speak before, you've probably heard me say this saying, but it's something that I came up with over the last couple of years, since I've really, really started to notice that most event promoters don't truly understand digital marketing. And most digital marketers don't truly understand events. You know, us promoters, we're good at comms, we're people, we wear 100 different hats. We kind of generally have our heads in the clouds a little bit, thinking about the big visionary stuff. And we're not necessarily focusing on the science of event ads, because at the end of the day, you don't know what you don't know, right? But then digital marketers, and that might be someone who is an agency that you're using, or someone that you've brought on internally, a lot of the time, these guys who have really honed their craft at digital marketing, they probably haven't run events themselves before and sort of know the trials and tribulations and ups and downs and certain strategies and things that you need to look out for in events. So that's what we're going to go through tonight around bridging that gap. Today, sorry, feels dark in my studio. So what generally ends up happening, and we call this the event promoter's circle of chaos, what generally ends up happening is the marketing side of things in terms of the copy and exactly how you roll out your strategy kind of gets left to the last minute, because as promoters, we're so busy booking acts, speaking to talent, speaking to venues, getting everything lined up for the launch, going back and forward with artwork. You get 10 different variations of the artwork, and then talent is coming back to you and saying, oh no, I want my name bigger, or I want to be on top, or this, that, and the other. And then you've got about 20 different variations of your promo video, and it all seems to come in and right at the last minute. And then it's like, yeah, cool, get the flyer out, get the promo video out, get the email out, just get it out, get it out, get it out. And there's not a huge amount of strategy that goes into it. And then it's all chaos at the start, and then you dip into that mid-campaign slog, which we all know. And you're kind of throwing the proverbial shit at the wall, just seeing what might stick. And then you get towards the end of the campaign and the excitement builds and tickets start to move again. And you have the event. It's a really good event, but you sit down with yourself or your business partners and you say, hey, that was awesome. But man, if we could have got that 20 or 30% extra sales, there's our cream. There's our profit. That's what our measurement of success is. And then the cycle starts again. So what we generally find is that whether someone is doing your campaigns internally or you're using an agency, both can be flawed solutions if there's a knowledge gap. So what you want to get to is you want to either have someone inside your organization, whether that's yourself or your team, who are skilled up, they've got a system, they've got the resource, and they're running high-performing campaigns week in, week out. They know exactly what they're doing. They know which levers to pull. When you get into that mid-campaign slog and you're sort of sitting there scratching your head, and they can drive everything for you, and they're skilled up because they've got a system and they know where they're at all times in the campaign. Or you can keep using an agency, which is fine, but you can keep them accountable. So you go into the meeting and they're going CTR, CPC, video views, reach, impressions, all this, vanity metrics. And you say, hey, no, but what's going on with the cost per sale? Show me the conversion campaigns that we're running. I want to see how they're performing. Why is our cost per ticket sale $80 when our tickets are $70? So these are the questions that you need to be asking. So keeping your agency accountable is also really, really important. It doesn't just have to be doing it yourself. So both of these options don't work without that knowledge and without that system. And that's what I want to take you through today. So this is the agenda that we'll go through. We'll go through the origins of the sellout marketing system. The guys that were on the last workshop or people that have heard me before may have heard the story, so I'll whip through it pretty quickly, but it's important to understand the foundations of where this all came from. Then we'll go through some really critical factors of setting your ad campaigns up for success. So the 3 key factors that I've noticed over the years that go into getting towards that sellout. And then we'll go through the actual structure of the meta ads. So campaigns, audiences, ads. You guys are probably familiar with that sort of structure, but that's how we're going to go through the session today. And I'm going to give you guys some really practical advice on each part. Then we'll go through a case study of how a couple of guys in the Sellout Academy went from not going to actually run their event and barely breaking even on some previous ones to selling out their event on the first day. And that's Jackson, who's on board today. So hi, Jackson. We'll go through the Frybase case study towards the end, which will be really exciting as well. Then I'll take you guys through the Sellout Academy, which is our event accelerator program that we've just launched. We launched it off the back of the last workshop. Really, really exciting results that we're getting at the moment with a lot of the members in there. So we can touch on that, and then we'll jump into a Q&A at the end. So, but first, quickly, I'm going to do a quick rip through of who the hell am I? Some of you guys may know previously, you may have seen me speak, or you may have seen the last workshop. But this is how it all started for myself. So this was back in 2011. I was having a pretty crap time in my life, and I heard Music Sounds Better by Stardust came on the radio when I was driving along in my car. And I thought, hey, how powerful is music to be able to just snap you out of a mood instantly? And then one thing led to another. We ended up doing a little party in our backyard. It was like the Triple J Hottest 100, but for house music. And everyone voted. We played the songs in the countdown from 50 to 1. We had the best night ever. And everyone started saying, hey, you should do this at a club. I'd been DJing and promoting a bit at the time. So 12 months rolled around and we ended up doing it at Prince. We sold out the event with 1,000 people, and it was an amazing success. And that was the first time that I actually started running ads and started to experience the power of ads. So from 2012 to 2016, we were selling out quicker every single year. And we sort of developed this little system to sell out our events. But at the time, we really didn't know that it was a system, so to speak. We were just doing our thing. So by 2018, we were packing out Circa. So we moved up to the rooftop, added a few extra 100 people, but we were still doing, we were squeezing 12, 13, 1,400 people into Circa. And it was still only a part-time gig for me. And so we started thinking, hey, let's scale this thing. This has so much stickiness. We've got a really good marketing system, a really good brand. Let's scale this thing up. So I quit my job, and in 2019, we scaled up to the Sydney Myer Music Bowl. And this was the result. So we went from 1,500 to 10,000. We couldn't have done it without our event partners, Hardware, who had the big event muscle. We probably could have done it, but it probably would have taken us longer. So we were really, really lucky to have them to be able to give us the big event muscle and the production and all that sort of stuff experience that they had. But the marketing side of it and the reason why we were able to scale up and get that mass market adoption was really because of the ads. And when I was sort of looking back at it, I started to think, we've always invested really heavily in the ads, and the power of ads over organic and other things is you can control exactly who sees what and when. And that's the main power of it, especially with the so many messages and everything that people are getting these days with TikToks and Instagram and Snapchat and all these different platforms. It's really, really important to be able to control who sees what and when. And so speaking of meta ads specifically, that is by far the most powerful to be able to do that still to this day. Other platforms, TikTok, Snapchat, absolutely they have their place, no doubt. But the control that you can have with meta is amazing. And that was the key factor in us scaling up Reminisce. And you've got to be systematic in what you're doing. And that's the one thing that I'm going to go through today. Most people just see ads as a glorified billboard. Okay, we spend money, we get the ad in front of these people, people see ad, people buy a ticket. And it's not quite as simple as that. And that's what I want to take you through today. So after we scaled up the first Reminisce, I then off the back of that noticed that there was a real gap in the market, and I started a digital agency, Sellout Digital, focusing specifically on events, hospitality, clubs, pubs, any type of event, whether that be music, corporate, seminars, B2B, festivals, whatever it is. And started what's now become the Sellout marketing system, but doing it for the clients. And since then, we've really had some amazing success. We've worked with some of the biggest promoters and the biggest festivals in Australia and the world. But we've also worked with smaller events, clubs, pubs, restaurants, any type of hospitality, art exhibitions last year. We helped the Archibald Prize sell out down on the Mornington Peninsula, 50,000 tickets to their exhibition we sold. It was incredible. Working with local councils, some B2B, some corporates. So the system, it translates across any type of event. because it's more about humans and more about people and getting messaging in front of people versus it being for a specific type of event. But the one thing that I want to call out to you guys, and this is almost the secret sauce of everything. So you can see NAB and Crown there up the top. So between 2015 and 2019, I actually worked full time. So for 3 years, I worked at CrownBet as the head of social. And then for the next 2 years, I worked in an agency managing all the search and social for NAB. And I didn't have any qualifications at that point. I never went to uni. I didn't do a marketing degree, didn't do any digital marketing courses, nothing. We just figured it out as we went. And I had my best friend and colleague, Mark Middo, to kind of guide me into the world of digital marketing. But I got the job at CrownBet because of the Reminisce success and kind of my entrepreneurial spirit. And so it was really fascinating to me because I got paid to go to digital marketing university. And so I went from running these smaller campaigns to literally spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes a day during Spring Carnival at Crown on Meta ads, Google, and then across the NAB spending millions of dollars a month on search. And so I got this massive look at these huge enterprise campaigns and how they all worked. But I'd also had the success in the events. And so that's when I really started to notice, hey, there's a massive gap here. There's a huge knowledge gap between event promoters and events and digital marketing. I was lucky enough to work across both verticals, and that's kind of how the sellout marketing system itself was spawned. And so numbers are really important. And these are our numbers since we started Sellout Digital. These are probably actually almost 12 months old now. I probably should update them. But what you want to do at the end of the day, when it all boils down to everything, you want to spend $1 to make $2 or spend $1 to make $20 in this case. And that's the power of ads, because you can have so much control over how you're spending, who's seeing it, tracking your conversions, and meta ads specifically. You can really dial it up and engineer the success of your campaigns so you can get a positive ROI. But so many people don't focus on the numbers because they don't have their house in order. They don't have their shit sorted out. They don't have their tracking. They're not running conversion campaigns. They're kind of just spraying and praying and hoping for the best. And if you do that, you are destined to fail. So it's really, really important to focus on the numbers. So then after a few years doing campaigns for clients at Sellout Digital, I started to think, how can we get this messaging and how can we get this system, the sellout marketing system, out to the masses? And so as I was speaking about before, about a month ago, we launched the Sellout Academy, and that was off the back of the last workshop we did. And we've got about 70 or so members in there at the moment, and it's just an incredible, great little community. I call it a small online community doing big things. There's some of the guys that are in the community on there today, on the workshop today, and we're just having a lot of fun. We're doing lots of workshops, lots of daily support, really building that sense of community and just helping each other out into injecting the sellout marketing system into their campaigns. There's self-paced learning modules in there as well. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for everything. So we can go through more detail in the Sellout Academy at the end of the session. But this is basically what we've started to then start this movement and fill this knowledge gap between events and digital marketing. So, into the meat. So, before you get going with your ads, it's really, really important to know your numbers, as I was speaking about before, and to get yourself set up for success. So there's 3 key numbers that you must know before you do anything with your events. And look, some of you guys absolutely already know this. You need to know worst case scenario. So let's say you got an event for 1,000 people. Well, you'd hope you could sell 100 tickets, 200 tickets. So let's just say, okay, we've got an event for 1,000 people. What happens if we only sell 100 tickets? Then you're going to lose X amount of money. then what's your break-even number? You must know your break-even number. So let's say your break-even at 1,000 people might be 400, 500. And then how much are you going to make if you sell out? How much revenue, how much profit? So you need those three numbers. And then what you want to do is you want to look at the sellout number and go, what's our total revenue on tickets from the sellout? And then grab 10% of that, and that should be how much you spend on marketing. Now, all these numbers that I'm giving you guys, just a caveat, are just general numbers. They're general rules of thumb that I've worked out over the years and many other event promoters as well. So I'm giving you hard numbers, but they are just a general rule. They obviously differ from event to event. Because if you don't look at the sellout, then you're already shooting yourself in the foot before you've already started. So pull the revenue from the sellout, 10% of that should be spent on marketing. And then what you generally do is you'll spend, and again, this is very general, but 50 to 60% of your overall marketing budget on ads. Now, some events don't spend hardly any on ads. Others spend more. It really depends. But for our campaigns, for say Reminisce and Tailgate and all these other successful events that we've ran, it's generally around 50 to 60% on ads. So that'll get you your marketing budget, your ad spend budget. So then what you want to do is you want to split your campaign up into three sections: your launch, your mid-campaign, and your run home. And so your launch will generally be, if you do a pre-sale, it'll be your pre-sale period to your general on-sale period. If you don't do a pre-sale, usually we class it as your first week. Then the mid-campaign is that middle belly part of your campaign. And then the run home, depending on your lead time of your campaign, if it's a big festival, you might be running 3, 4, 5 month campaigns, then maybe your run home, you'll class that as a month. But if it's a shorter, smaller campaign, maybe you'll class that as a week. So then what you want to do is you want to spend 33% on your launch, 33% in your mid-campaign, and 33% in your run home. And again, I'm probably going to stress this throughout this whole session. These are general numbers. They're not gospel. They're just a good place to start. And then the third most important part to get your campaign set up for success is start a pre-sale list. Now, if you're not doing a actual pre-sale, some events, maybe they're a bit smaller, or maybe that's generally not what the market does, or whatever it is, you still want to have some kind of waiting list, because this enables you to build up urgency, build up scarcity, and build up hype, and get people talking. And you feed information out to people at certain times and get them excited and start to build a bit of groundswell for your event. So really, really important to be able to do that so you can start generating these emotions and generating this chatter. Because at the end of the day, your job as an event promoter is not to sell the event. It's to get people to sell the event for you. I want you to really, really think about that. If you focus on getting people to talk about your event rather than ramming it down people's throats, you will absolutely clock event marketing. And so if you shift your mindset a little bit, that's where you'll start to get the gold. And that's what you do by doing a pre-sale list and using emotions to generate hype. So then you want to set up your ad spend tracker. You've got to know your numbers. You've got to know your spend. So split it up between your launch, split it up between your months and your platforms. So launch, mid-campaign, run home. Set up your tracking, budget, spent, how much is remaining, and track your spend as you go. I'm going to move a little bit faster because I notice I'm already running behind time, but I hope you guys are getting a lot of value from the session, because I am definitely adding in a few little extras in here. Then it's really, really important for you guys to understand how the meta ads optimize. Because once you understand that, then you can know which levers to pull, which things to change, which things to leave, because sometimes leaving it is actually better than making a change. So some of you guys are probably going to be really familiar with this. People who are actively using the Meta Ads Manager. So starts from the campaign level. And at the campaign level, you set your objective. Do you want video views? Do you want conversions, which is ticket sales or pre-sale signups? Do you want people to click through your page? Do you want traffic? Do you want reach? Do you just want them to blast it out to as many people as possible? So that's where you set your objective and generally where you set your budget to. Then at the ad set level, that's where you target your audiences and where you want your ads to show. So if you make a change at the campaign level, that will permeate through to all the ad sets and all the ads. And then if you make a change at the ad set level, that will permeate through to your ads as well, to all of your ads inside that individual ad set. So ad sets are mostly audiences, which is your targeting, and then your placements. And then your ads is your creative. So you're setting up your videos, your carousels, your artwork, animations, whatever it might be. So that's where you actually set up and create your ads. So then you want to go one step further and understand how they optimize. Ben, yep, no problem. So I can give you that example. That's just a mock-up that I gave. So yep, no worries at all. And this workshop will be available for a replay as well. So you'll be able to watch back through and check everything and re-watch over it again. So those of you on the last workshop will be familiar with this. Had a whiteboard malfunction during the workshop. It was on an easel and it started collapsing as I was drawing it. So I thought, you know what? Let's just take a photo and put it on the slide. Much easier. So what this basically is if you look at that circle and you imagine that that is an audience of 100,000 people that you have selected on Meta. And then what you want to do is look at yourself, right? And me and every single person on this webinar and every person in Australia and every person in the world. They have Meta, this is Meta speaking, they have 1 million data points on every single person that's on the platform. That can be things from how fast you scroll, how fast you navigate around, whether you're someone who generally looks at Instagram stories on a Sunday night or watches videos on the train on the way to work, but you actually buy your tickets in the morning first thing when you get up. And you usually do that through Instagram stories. Or maybe you're someone who only buys from Facebook feed. So Meta knows all of this stuff and they will work you over until they get the result that they want. Not all the time, but that's generally how it works. So to use an example, if you set up a campaign and you've got a 100,000 person audience, so you can see up here, 100,000 person audience, and you set up a video views campaign. So you tell Meta that you want it to go get video views. What it will do is it will start spending and just showing the ad to anyone inside this big audience. And as the people start to respond, it will then cluster the similarities of these 1 million data points between all of those people who are watching the video and say, okay, these are the type of people that are going to watch this video inside these audience that the advertiser has asked me to do. And then it will build a little lookalike audience. And let's just say this green circle here, that's 50,000 people. So it won't spend outside that 50,000. There's another 50,000 available to you there. But because it's built this little lookalike audience, it won't go outside of that because those people are more likely to watch the video. But then you might say, okay, hey, I want people to click through to my website or click through to my ticket page. And those people may be 30,000 people inside the 100,000 person audience. And you can see here, just as an example, there's always going to be crossover, but you will absolutely reach different people than you had before with your video views campaign. And then you might want to go one step further and say, okay, I want people who are going to buy tickets. Now there's people who are clickers, but there's people who actually go and buy tickets and they're the gold and that's what you guys want. So you might say, okay, these people, there's only 20,000 people inside this 100,000 person audience that are actually active ticket buyers. They're currently buying tickets to events. So everyone's fighting for these good impressions inside the 100,000. But if you've got a crappy ad, you don't have your ad set up properly, your audiences, your targeting's not right, you haven't done the preparation, you haven't tested, you haven't followed a system, you'll kind of be bouncing around in these other areas outside here, getting all these garbage impressions that everyone else is fighting for the good stuff, and you might be out here and no one's doing anything, clicking, watching videos, and your campaigns aren't performing. And so that's why it's really, really important to understand this and understand how things are working, so then you can use different objectives to get people down the line and build this audience to be bigger to then go and then buy tickets to your event. I'm conscious of we're definitely running a little bit over time, but I'm going to keep whipping through it for you guys. So so we're going to go through campaigns, ad sets, and ads. So as I was going back to the previous slide, so here, campaigns, ad sets, and ads, we're going to go through the top tips for each. So campaign level, make sure you use a conversion objective where possible. So whenever you can, use conversions, because that is the power. That's where Meta uses the 1 million data points that it's got, and it goes and find people who are going to actually buy tickets to your event. So you must have your tracking and everything set up to do that. Then what you want to do is, again, general rule of thumb, 10% of your ticket price is a good target cost per sale. So if your ticket price is $100, then you are happy to sell a ticket for $10. Pay $10 in ads to sell a ticket. Again, a general number. But what you need to remember is that on average, you'll get 2.2 tickets per sale, depending on your event. So if you're getting a transaction for $20, so if you're looking in your Meta Ads Manager and it says cost per transaction, cost per ticket sale, 20, but that person is most likely buying 2.2 tickets. So that's meaning that it's around $10 per ticket sale. So these are the numbers that you want to kind of set up and just use as a baseline as you're running your campaigns. The third one, and then this is why I've got a little warning sign on here. This is the number one mistake and the number one issue where so many promoters who are either doing it themselves or using an agency that doesn't know what they're doing, or just don't have the skill inside their team. They're not understanding that you must have enough data to feed the algorithm if you're using a conversion campaign. So it's all well and good to set up a conversion campaign, but if you're only selling, 1 ticket a day or 2 tickets a day in the campaign that it's actually attributing, it's not going to be getting enough data. So you need 50 conversions in the first week to then exit the learning phase. Again, general rule of thumb. And then generally about 5 per day for the campaign to stay active. If you do that, that's when Meta is doing its thing, is using those million data points that it's got to go out and go, right, these are the type of people who are going to buy these tickets. It's getting enough data to build that lookalike audience, and it's going out and it's finding you ticket buyers. So if you understand that, that's when you can understand how to engineer your campaigns. As I was going back to before, spend $1 to make 2 or $1 to make 20, right? That's what we're all here to do. So if you're running say a smaller event, maybe it's got less spend or whatever it might be, and you don't have enough data and your conversion campaigns are saying learning limited and they're struggling a bit, that's when you might say, okay, I'm going to use traffic. Because going back to the last slide, if you use traffic, you are definitely going to reach more people than you are running conversion ads. The reach is always a lot more. So if you're not feeding the algorithm enough, you can shoot yourself in the foot by running conversion campaigns, and you've got to use the signals inside the Meta Ads Manager to tell you. So really, really important. And then the last one, don't bother with post engagement. You'll just get garbage impressions because it just goes to anyone who'll like, share, comment. So back in the day, it was a good thing to do, but what I've found for myself, my own campaigns, my agency, clients, all that sort of stuff, Post engagement, no good. So forget about it, and don't worry about event response campaigns anymore either. They're just pointless. Focus on conversions, focus on traffic, and then if you've got probably a bit of a bigger budget and you want to do some brand awareness and really get your video out there and build a warm audience, absolutely you can go for video views for sure. But traffic and conversions most important. If you want to do awareness, do video views. And reach and these sorts of other objectives can be useful, but these are the three sort of main ones that I want you guys to focus on. Samuel, yeah, completely agree. Post engagement objective attracts crappy audience who just engage with the post and don't take any action. Yeah, 100% right. So then when you get into your ad set level, you've got 3 key audiences, and this is really part of the sellout marketing system and the strategy that I've developed to do Reminisce, to sell out our tailgate event earlier this year, for a lot of other events that we've ran, clients, etc., etc. You want to keep it really, really simple. And so with events, it's really important to not have 20 different audiences where you're testing all these hundreds and hundreds of different ads and campaigns. You absolutely need to test and learn and try things and, track your numbers and work out what's working and what's not, for sure. But compared to other industries where they may have like hundreds of campaigns and hundreds of ads and everything like that, what that does is that doesn't allow you to rotate your creative in a way where you have control of who's seeing what and when, and then you can start working people over and building that hype into your event. And that's why event campaigns are so different. So you want to keep it really simple, and especially these days with Meta, they want bigger audiences. That's how you're going to get your performance, because you've got to allow it to do its thing and use its power. And you do that by having bigger audiences and give it room to move. So you want to set up 3 key audiences. Everyone who's engaged in your brand or your event or your pages or anything like that in the last 365 days. So Facebook, Instagram engages, video views, traffic, all of that. Put it all together and put it in one saved audience and use that for your remarketing. Just have one native audience. So your interest-based targeting, you can definitely test a few different ones, but in the main body of your campaign, you want to generally just have one native audience that you're just rotating your content through. And as I said, you will test things and try things, and it maybe do a test audience for one campaign, then the next time you might use that. But in general, you want to really have one main native large audience, which is interest-based. And then always try lookalikes as well. Sometimes you'll set a lookalike audience and it'll just get on an absolute heater and it'll just start kicking ass, selling heaps of tickets. So I noticed that, yeah, when you get a good lookalike, there's nothing like it. You might go from selling tickets to, $10 or $15 per transaction, and then all of a sudden, boom, it'll be down to like $3, and you just be like, fuck yeah, like this audience is kicking ass. So definitely try lookalike audiences. 1 to 2 million audience size is now recommended by Meta. So generally a lot larger, as I was saying before. Really, really important. Then always do your best. Sometimes artists just won't allow you, and if they won't, then there's nothing you can do about that. But always do your best to use audiences from the talent that you have. Whether that's a music event, DJs, bands, it might be comedy or speakers or anything like that. Always serve ads from their audience, because it's really, really powerful from their page. Sorry, it's really, really powerful to get their audience, but it's also so powerful if you've got, say, 5 artists on your bill and you're running ads from each of their pages. You can reach people 5 times more often than you would by just running ads from your own page. Because Meta knows that people get annoyed. If you see someone's same ad 5 times in one day, you're going to get pissed off. But if you see an ad for a same event from 3 or 4 different pages, you're probably not as pissed off. And it's a little bit of a hack to the algorithm, this, because Meta doesn't differentiate. It works it off the page. So you can reach people way more often if you're running ads from a lot of pages. So always serve ads from your artist page. Also, with the targeting, Meta has now started to roll out what they call an Advantage Plus audience. And so always try a standard audience. So you can tick Advantage Plus, and what that means is you're saying to Meta, hey, I want to target these guys, but I'm allowing you to go outside of that and go and find people if you think that they'll buy tickets or they'll convert. So what you want to do is start with your standard audience, see how it goes, and then test the Advantage Plus audience, because we've been getting some amazing results with the Advantage Plus audience recently. You know, sometimes a campaign will go a bit stagnant, it's in the middle body of the campaign, and then we'll go, let's try Advantage Plus. We'll switch that on, boom, it just halves the cost per sale. So definitely try that as well. And then with your placements, if you've got conversion campaigns, no problem at all, just put it on automatic placements. But if you're doing, say, video views or traffic, make sure you remove the audience network, because it will generally go and spend a whole heap of dollars in apps. You know, there might be games that people are playing, and then Meta ads will actually serve inside those games, and it'll just get you clicks for garbage price for 20 cents, but they're just accidental crappy clicks. So always remove your audience network for any other objective other than conversions. Jackson said, how do you feel about limiting the hours ads run and are scheduled for? Yeah, can be really, really powerful. So as long as you set a lifetime budget for your campaigns, you can actually set timers and say, okay, our people are generally online for, you know, during these times. We're going to set timers for when we want our ads to show. Again, it's something you just need to test and try. Sometimes it can work really well. Other times it can be a bit limiting because you're not letting Meta just do its thing. So for sure, definitely trial that. Corey said, when I use Advantage Plus, it sent most of my ads to India and Bangladesh. Yeah, so again, you got to just test and try. So depending on the objective, if you had a conversion objective, generally that wouldn't be the case, because I noticed that if you've got a really good conversion point, you've got good ads and everything set up, and you turn on Advantage Plus and you've got a good campaign, it'll go out and get those good impressions for you. Maybe if you've got video views or traffic and then you turn on Advantage Plus, it'll go, fine, we'll just go and get you all the clicks that you want, which are not the clicks that you want. So again, you just got to test and try. So then at the ad level, this is what Meta is recommending at the moment. So we're lucky enough through our agency, because we've got quite a lot of events going on. We've got agency account management at Meta. So we catch up with our Meta rep every 2 weeks, and they take us through the latest and greatest techniques. Now, I'm sure you guys are familiar with getting phone calls and emails from the Meta reps, and then they hound you forever, and then you catch up with them, and then they actually have no idea what they're talking about. So those guys are different to the guys that we deal with. We have agency account management. So we have a set Meta rep, and they give us some absolutely gold information. And so what they recommended to us a little while back was inside each ad set, have a single image, have a carousel, and a video inside each one. And we started doing that, and it started performing really well. So at the moment, highly recommend to do this strategy, and you'll notice that your campaigns start to perform really, really well. And the 3 tips for ads. So always placement optimize as much as you possibly can. So go in as you're setting up your ad and do a story size. Do a 4x5 for the feed size in Instagram. Make sure that your ads are set up correctly for each placement, because you know when you scroll across in stories and you see a square ad, and then it's truncated the text and it's just built this little ad for the audience because it's a small, square or a 4x5 size, and it just looks crap. And it just doesn't represent your brand properly, and it doesn't perform anywhere near as well. So always make sure that you placement optimize. And then the second one, use text overlays over videos. So you'll see down the bottom here on the right-hand side in this video that we've done a little text overlay. So that's a hype video for our event for Reminisce. And then we've just gone into Canva, dropped the video in there, got the text of the lineup and the date and dropped it over. So if you get a bunch of videos, maybe they're off people's phones of, real hype sort of style content, and then drop text over it, really, really, really high performing campaigns. And then if you've got voice, if you've got audio, people speaking, definitely make sure that you have captions as well. Then with your copy, always consider what is going to be seen above the see more. I see this so much. Going right back to the point that I made at the start where everything can be kind of rushed out, and as people are leading up to campaigns, everything just gets rushed at the last minute. People are like, yep, this is the write-up, this is the ad, Facebook, TikTok, They post it out, but they don't actually look that literally 75% of the top paragraph has been truncated above the see more. And people clicking see more to read the rest of the copy is one of the biggest factors that Meta takes into its algorithm, whether people are interested in that ad or not, meaning that it's going to show your ad to the good impressions. So always think about the words that people are seeing above the see more and treat them like absolute gold. And what you're trying to do with those words is not sell people on the event. You're not trying to get them to buy tickets. All you're trying to get them to do is to click the see more. And that is really, really important for you to focus on. So before we move on to the case study, I might just answer a couple of questions if anyone has any questions on any of those ad campaigns, ad sets, and ads tips that I went through. So if anyone has any, let me know. I'll answer a couple before we move on to the case study. So yeah, people are asking about the replay. Yeah, it'll get emailed to you later on today once the workshop's finished. So that's no problem at all. I can only get served your ads on YouTube. What are some of the differences compared with Meta? Yeah, so the Google platform in itself is very powerful. YouTube ads can be super powerful. We run them for our bigger events that have bigger budgets like Reminisce and all these sorts of campaigns. YouTube's really, really powerful because it takes in all of the browsing data that people do when they're browsing around Chrome and the other internet browsers. So if people are searching for certain events, whether that be techno or trance or hardstyle, they're actively looking for events and they're actively going through and buying tickets on Ticketmaster, Eventbrite, all these sorts of events. All of the browsing activity, that's the data that the Google platform and YouTube have. So that can be really, really powerful. Whilst Meta has a ton of personal data, way more than any other platform, their browsing behavior and recent activity, Google is much stronger for that. So it's really, really important to consider that. Generally, if you've got a bit more budget to play with and maybe you're doing a bit of a bigger event. So Mikhail said, should the ad link to a website / landing page or straight to the checkout page? Yeah, really good point. It does depend on which type of event you have, but as a general rule, what we find these days is we generally go straight to the ticket page, because what you're doing is you're just cutting out one whole step, which is people going from your website and then having to see the button, click the button, wait for the page to load, go through to the ticket page. So for most of our events, where possible, when we're doing conversion campaigns, we're absolutely just sending people straight to the ticket page. Gene said, my events are small, like 30 to 50 people. So if I get 50 conversions over the whole campaign, that's a huge win for me. would you still recommend going from conversion to objective to traffic? Yeah. So if you're doing smaller events like that, I would definitely go for traffic. Now, if you're doing a bit of a pre-warm-up or a pre-sale or a bit of pre-hype and you're doing a little bit of a spend on that, you could do conversions at the start of your campaign, because it's much easier to get a conversion where someone's just putting in their name, email, and phone number. You might get conversions for 50 cents or $1. And so you might be happy to spend, $100 or a couple of $100 to get 50 or 100 people onto your pre-list to then launch out your ticket sales. So you could absolutely use conversions, but in terms of your ticket sale conversions, yeah, I'd for sure use traffic if you're talking about small events like that. Cool. I'm going to answer one more question and then we'll jump into the case study. Jackson, what about spending your time to call and sell to 50 people? Haha, mate, anything you've got to do to get that hustle. All depends on the event, but yeah, we've all been there for sure. Absolutely. Shane said, is there a ticket platform that works better with Meta, Eventbrite? Yeah, I mean, Eventbrite has that Meta integration, especially with the event campaigns, which is not as powerful anymore. But any major ticketing platform like Eventbrite or Humanitix or Ticket Booth and these sorts of newer ones are great. The Ticketmasters and Ticketex of the world can be a pain in the ass to try and get your tracking and everything on. And I'm sure probably most of you guys aren't using them. The only reason people ever use those is because you have to, like when we do our reminisce at the Music Bowl. But yeah, any of those those event ticketing platforms like Eventbrite or Moshtix or Humanitix or anything like that, in terms of how they work with Meta, they're all pretty much the same. Cool. All right, so I'm going to jump into the case study. So about probably 2 weeks ago, I actually got a message from someone who's inside the Sellout Academy, Buddha, and he was running a reunion for one of their gigs that they used to do back in the day called Fridays. And so this is the message here, and it says, hey, bud, just want to say massive thank you, etc., etc. Didn't watch the workshop live, but so thankful that I did. Tried a new strategy based off the workshop, getting over 1,500 signups, etc., etc. Most of them 80% sold before the pre-release, and then they were just about to sell out. And that was on the night of his event. So he pretty much sold out on the first day. And I was stoked when I got that message because the big call out for this case study, and Jackson, who's on this session now, can probably attest to it, is they had something good in place, but it was a very small change that they made that generated a big result. And you can see the result there on the right-hand side, and that's Buddha with his big cheesy smile and happy with the sellout. So I asked Buddha, hey, can you send me a bit of a summary of exactly what happened? And I was expecting 2 or 3 dot points, and he sent me through this email, and I was like, wow, man, that was awesome. Thank you so much for that level of detail. So I'm not going to go through every single line, but the main thing that I wanted to call out here is, as I said before, small changes and big results. So they were getting ready to do everything as they usually do, but they weren't feeling the vibe. So you can see here, they were getting ready for their usual strategy. They watched the replay of the workshop, but everything was feeling like a hard slog at the time for all the venues all around. And then they switched their usual launch strategy to an emotional-based strategy. And that's what I was talking about before around preparing your audience or getting them pumped up through a pre-sale or some kind of pre-launch, and using the emotions and the excitement of the event and how they're going to feel at the event. And you can do that so powerfully with ads because you can control exactly what people see and when. And that's what they did. And you can see here, they got 1,300 signups for their pre-sale, and then they sold out basically on the first day, and they were done by day 2. They were sold out. And what I thought was interesting as well is Jackson Buddha's never sent me this many notes. Haha. um, what I thought was interesting is they've noted down here there's so many mistakes that they said that they made and they still kicked ass. And so you've got to learn as you go. And it's really, really important. And now I'm helping these guys with, these mistakes that they talked about that they thought that they made, limiting the amount of tickets per transaction and all this sort of stuff, just chipping away at it and getting towards that sellout and then working out how they can scale up and then even go bigger again. So as I said, the most important part of it, small changes, huge results. And so that's what we go through in the Sellout Academy. I mentioned the Sellout Academy at the start of the workshop, and we launched it, as I said, about a month or probably 6 weeks ago now, off the back of the last workshop. And we've got, 72 members in there. So many people are just getting amazing results. So we basically catch up every fortnight. We get on a group call. People generally have a lot of questions. I'll do a bit of a masterclass similar to what I just went through before and go through all the different topics of the sellout marketing system and then spend time with each person going through answering their questions. And we generally have a really high level, really powerful discussion, and everyone gets to see what everyone else is working on, what's not working, what is working, and everyone kind of feels that, hey, everyone's in the same boat, everyone has the same issues, and we all sort of work together to, to help people to get across the line and, start selling out their events. So you can see here, this is just a few screenshots of some of the help and a bit of the banter and the fun that we have in the academy. So it's all done through the school platform. It's really, really easy to use. It's just like using a Facebook or an Instagram or something like that. And if people have any issues like, hey, I'm really having trouble doing this one thing, how do I set up this part in my meta ad or whatever it might be, then I'll go through and make a Loom video and explain, okay, this is what you need to do. And I'll drop the link in there and then help them out with that. And then we've also got a whole bunch of courses in there, so self-paced stuff. Some people can't make the workshops, but we've generally got a ton of information in there. 4 steps to a sellout. We've got the whole sellout marketing system is all in there. You can go through, watch the videos, work out how to set up all of your meta ads and do everything like that. $1 million event launch blueprint, how we did tailgate, how we sold out our tailgate event in only 16 days. We documented the entire thing. That's in there. So there's a ton of value in there. And what I wanted to take you guys through today, and I am conscious of time. I know we've only got a couple of minutes. We probably are going to run a little bit over, so I hope that's okay for you guys. We'll definitely get onto more Q&A in a second. So what we're basically offering today is 50% off the Sellout Academy. So we're also offering a one-on-one session specifically with me to go through all of your challenges and your goals. We've got the 2 workshops, 4 steps to a sellout, the $1 million event launch blueprint. We've got the community. We've got the monthly online workshops. They're actually more like fortnightly at the moment. And then the daily support inside the community. So Jackson's stacking the value here on screen. Classic promoter. Hey, that's what we do, right? I love it. So what we're basically offering today is $97 per month as a lifetime price. So we were doing this just to launch the Sellout Academy. So as I said before, we're basically doing this just to get a whole bunch of foundation members in and reward everyone for taking action, for getting in early, so then they can get a mountain of value. So last time that we did it, we did a certain amount of people, which was 50, but we got 50 people actually signed up before the workshop. So what we're basically doing now is we're closing off the foundation member offer as of tomorrow. So the offer ends today. So anyone who jumps on today, and what I'm just actually going to do is bring you guys up a just a little link that you guys can click now. So if you follow that, that'll take you through to the school page. You can sign up and you'll get a lifetime price of only $97 per month. It's going to double tomorrow to go to $197. But if you jump on today, you can join the academy. As soon as you join, you'll get an email and that will have a link in there. You can book in your one-on-one session with me. And then next Wednesday is our next group workshop. And we'll be going through and taking you through all the bits and pieces of the sellout marketing system and exactly how you guys can start selling out your events, going through and running all of the meta ad strategies that I was going through earlier today. So if you want, you can jump on, you can cancel your subscription anytime. So if you sign up and at the end of the month you think, oh, this is just not for me, no problem. You can cancel your subscription anytime. And inside 7 days, if you want to do that, we'll give your money back, no problems at all. We're not in here to take anyone's money if it's not relevant for you. So if you jump in, you feel like there's no value, no dramas at all. You can absolutely jump off and we'll refund your money. Cool. So we'll jump into the Q&A in a sec. This is just a couple of extra what the Sellout Academy members say. I got another message last night actually saying it's working, which was from Nathan, and he's doing a pre-sale campaign for his new brand, and he sent me through a whole list of all the people that are signing up. And again, that was small results, small changes and big results. Daily trackers, all these sort of things to get your house in order and make sure you're doing everything right and setting up your campaigns from the start. That was that one on the left. And then a lot of community and everything like that, which is the one on the right. So yeah, there's tons and tons of value. And as I said, the reason why we're doing this is just to reward people for taking action and just to get people in the door, getting a ton of value and getting some amazing results as we build this community. Awesome. Okay, guys, I know we're over time, so I'm going to jump into the Q&A. Let's crack in. Let's have at it. You guys got any questions, definitely just fire them in and we can crack into it. So Jean said, is the pixel no longer a thing? Or can I still use it to create a lookalike audience? The pixel is absolutely a thing. Pretty much the most important thing for meta ads. And so having your pixel and everything set up properly is critical to you actually having success with your conversion ads and then leveraging the power of meta, as I was talking about before, getting the meta algorithm to go out and find the people who are going to buy tickets. If you don't have the pixel set up properly, it can't track the conversions properly. And every time someone buys a ticket, when the pixel's on the page, that then sends a signal of that person's meta ID back to the ad algorithm and then pulls all of their data and says, okay, these are the type of people who are buying the tickets. So the pixel is really, really important. Part of the sellout marketing system, the first module is get your house in order or get your shit together or however you like to call it, because a lot of promoters don't. They kind of have their tracking not set up properly, their website's not really running, everything's not all linked and integrated and everything like that. So before you do anything, you must get all your house in order, get your tracking and everything set up, and then that way you're set up for success. Cam said, if I'm running a monthly event, is it worth setting up a pre-sale sign-up campaign every time? Yeah, really good question. I would think probably not, because people will probably get a little bit over it if you're just doing month after month. And then by the time you sort of do the pre-sale, go on sale, it's like you're almost in campaign for the next one. So you could probably have a think about getting people to still give some kind of soft commitment where they're just putting their name, email, and phone number. Always take phone number. That's another thing to do. Anytime you're taking data, never just take name and email. Always take phone number. SMS marketing is really, really powerful. So you could have maybe you could start, if it's a monthly thing, you could start some kind of, club or membership or whatever it might be, where these people are, they're a VIP. So it's join our, whatever you want to call it, club, or join our VIP inner circle or membership or whatever it is. And all they need to do is put their name and email in and phone number, and then they're inside that club, and then they get access maybe a day before you launch tickets for each event. Maybe you send them via email a special link where they get a $5 or $10 discount or something like that. So they still get rewarded for being on your database, because that at the end of the day is what you want to do. You want to reward them for being on your database, and you want to give them discounts, and then you can communicate with them more often. So that's the way I'd do it. Mikhail said, does anything change if the price of my ticket is $250? Yeah, really good question. So depending on the scale of your ticket price, it's more of a commitment for the buyer. So if your ticket price is $250, depending on who your market is, if you're targeting, high net worth individuals or whatnot, it might be a little bit different. But you want to think about how you're going to run your campaign to build the value of the ticket price. So if the ticket price is, say, $50, you might be happy to go out and go, right, tickets on sale, this is what it is, $50, no problem. But if it's $250 plus, you might say, okay, we need to get these people off the fence. They're going to need a little bit more work. So maybe we spend a bit of time and money setting up a really good video campaign. We have a promo video. Maybe you do video views for that. If your ticket prices are $250, you probably got a bit more to play with in your marketing budget. So you might then say, okay, I'm going to run a video views campaign. I'm just making these numbers up off the top of my head, but spend $1,000 or $2,000 or maybe 10,000, whatever it is, on a video views campaign to build you a really warm audience of people who've shown interest in what you're doing. Because if you spend a decent amount of money on a video views campaign, you might be able to pull 3, 4, 5, 10,000 people who've actually watched your video to completion. So if someone's watched a video till the end, they're pretty interested in what you've got. And then if you've got a big enough audience of people who've done that, you can actually target those guys specifically. And then you know that they're warmed up to make that $250 purchase. So you want to have a think about what that looks like if your ticket price is a bit higher. So Corey said, is it worth doing TikTok ads when you can't target the ads as much as Facebook? I find that ads can't target towards events and parties such as subjects, topics. Absolutely. It can be really tricky with TikTok to do that. Now, excuse me, this is the main thing that I find with TikTok. A lot of people say, oh, we need to do TikTok ads because TikTok's, the second biggest platform in the world now. And everyone's on it, and that's where all the action's happening, and everything goes viral on TikTok, and TikTok is an absolute beast, right? So you're absolutely right in that thinking. But what then generally happens is people say, okay, cool. So I'll just start running my ads like my Meta ads. And that is the issue, because it's nothing like Meta ads at all. And so if you're doing TikTok ads specifically, it does need to be backed up. Again, for the most part, this is a generalization, but it generally needs to be backed up by a really set, bespoke TikTok organic strategy. So you want to make sure that you're doing really good organic TikToks. You're making TikToks. Their saying is, don't make ads, make TikToks. So you want to be making these TikToks. You want to have a strategy, whether you're posting every day, every second day, 3 times a week, whatever it is, and make them specific for TikTok, and then use your spend to then get that out there and then get that out to the masses and test what's working and what's not. If a video takes off, boom, put some more spend behind it, get it to go further, and have a really set TikTok strategy. If you're just doing the same as what you're doing for Meta, you generally find that, hey, why would I go and spend all this money on TikTok to see, oh, I reached this many people, I got this many video views, wow, who cares? When you can go back to Meta and you can say, oh, sweet, I sold 1,000 tickets. I can see that right there. And that's generally what happens to people. But the power of TikTok is incredible, but it does need more of a set strategy. Shane said, how far out from your event should you launch your pre-sale? Yeah, good question. It really depends on the amount of tickets that you got to sell. And this goes back to, again, back into the get your house in order module of the sellout marketing system. You want to have a daily tracker set up and a daily projection of how many tickets you need to sell each day to get to your sellout. So let's just say you are doing, I'll talk about as a Reminisce example. For Reminisce, we're usually going to launch our event probably 4 months out. That's a 10,000 person festival. And so we will then go in, and we're able now to use our past year's data that we've got data from every single day of every single campaign for every single Reminisce that we've ever done. We know exactly how many tickets were sold on that day. And so that's really, really powerful. And so what you want to do is you want to go in and plot out each day in a sheet, and then, okay, we think we're going to sell, 500 tickets on launch. We're going to sell X amount on the next day, and and then drops down, and maybe it might be 20 a day, 30 a day as it gets closer, 40, 50. And then you see where it is at the end, and you go, okay, that's what I'm estimating, but that's only going to get us halfway. So we need to actually sell 1,000 on the on sale. And then you kind of engineer it like that and just work out to start, you just do it off your gut feel. I think we can sell this many, per day, etc. You've got to start somewhere. And if you do that, you might then say, oh, okay, shit, like we've got ages. We only need to sell 5 tickets a day to get there. Maybe we're launching too early. So then you say, okay, let's launch, a month later. So you want to sort of use your projections to govern how early you launch. Also, I said this to someone the other day, and I think it's really, really important. The mood that people are in when you go on sale is more important than the time you have to sell the tickets. So everything's seasonal. There's other events that are going on at the same time. There's sporting events. Everything affects it. Weather, all that sort of stuff. As event promoters, I'm sure you guys know, it's really, really important to think about the mood that people are in. Sometimes, and I know I've made these mistakes before. We've just launched way too early. And as soon as you launch and it falls flat, you go, fuck, why did we do that? No one is interested in festivals at the moment. It's still winter and no one's in the mood for it. And then you test and you learn and you try and you think, okay, let's line it up when people are starting to get excited. Maybe it's just after the end of Spring Carnival, and you say, okay, that's when people start to think, awesome, festival, summer, so we'll push our launch back to then. So as I said, the mood that people are in is really, really important. Quite often after you may have a competitor's event, don't launch just before them. Launch just after them, because people go, cool, what's next? And then generally they're like, that was so awesome. I want to have my next, fun locked in. Bang, I'll buy tickets for that. So really, really important. Ben said, how broad should you have your meta audience? Yeah, so as a general rule, if you are talking about a native audience, so an interest-based targeting, again, I'll use the Reminisce example where targeting people interested in house music and festivals and everything, you generally want that to be about 1 to 2 million. This is if you're marketing inside Australia as well. That's what Meta is recommending these days, and it's got much, much bigger. So back in the day, how you used to be a master at meta ads was you would drill down these tiny little audiences. The smaller the audience, the better, the more targeted it was, because you would kind of needing to do the work for yourself. Whereas Meta now does the work for you, and you really target more with your creative. It becomes a creative popularity contest. And then Meta will quickly just optimize out a ton of people inside that big audience and build that little lookalike audience that I was talking about before. So what you want to do is you want to give it room to do that. And so, as I said, our meta rep has recommended that we actually increase it from 1 million to 2 million. Now, not everything that they say is gospel. I will always default to not listening to them before I default to listening to them. But in this case, as I said, with our agency recommendations, he's pretty good. We have started listening and started broadening our audiences, started trialing Advantage Plus, and we are starting to get some decent results. So 1 to 2 million is generally about the number. Cool. I'll keep having a look at some more questions. If anyone's got any questions about the Sell Out Academy as well, by all means, just let me know at any time, and I'm happy to answer those. Pete says, what are your thoughts on always on ads for weekly club events? Yeah, absolutely. So you generally want to, if your weekly club events say on a Saturday night, you'll run your ads right up until the Saturday night, then you'll have them off, and then some people may launch their campaign for the next week on the Sunday night. Some people, it'll be Monday, some will be Tuesday, just depends. So you generally have that little gap in between, but the way we usually do it is we'll have an overarching video where we'll be running a brand campaign, selling the venue, the weekly club night, whatever it is. We'll have that running all the time, and then under that we'll have setting flyers up, setting videos, promoters, birthdays, all that sort of stuff, and that'll generally sort of start as the next event for the next week drops. And if you do that on the Sunday, then bang, the ads will start from the Sunday again, or then they'll start from the Monday. Cool. Alana said, what if your audience is 4 mil? Is there a max size? No, absolutely not. 4 mil, depending on what type of campaign you're running and who you're targeting and how much your budget is and all of that sort of stuff. 4 mils, is still fine. Now, it is quite large for an Australian audience, but it really depends on who you're targeting. If it's a mass market event, then 4 mil might be fine. If it's more of a niche event, then you maybe want to look at lowering it and trying to just target it down a little bit. But this is the really, really important thing, is most of the time, if you're running good creative, Meta will be so fast at just optimizing to who's going to engage in it. So let's just say there's inside the 4 million, there's, 10,000 people in there that are going to buy your tickets to your event. If you've got good creative that's relevant, that's, does all the right things, that has a good hook at the start, if it's a video, that's got really good copy, that gets people's attention, that's very clear, it's got captions on it, it's engaging, etc., and you're winning the popularity contest, because at the end of the day, that's all it is, Meta will just go, and it will just drill down to those 10,000 people really, really quickly. So your creative is way, way, way more important than your targeting. If you've got an awesome ad that kicks ass and you've got a 4 million audience, bang, no problem. It'll still kick ass. But if you've got a bad ad, but your targeting's awesome, it's not going to do anything. And so that's really, really important to notice. So Mikhail said, what if your market doesn't have 1 million? Yeah, from my research, I have about 600K. Yeah, so I wouldn't stress too much about thinking that sort of granular, in terms of that it has to be those amounts that are matched to your actual addressable target market, which you've obviously done your research, which is good. It's more just from a meta performance side of things. So as I was just saying, if you do set up an audience and there's 1 million people in there, It just gives Meta room to move because it doesn't know what the similarities of all of those different people are until you start the ad. So it just gives Meta room to move to then say, okay, we're going to start this grouping and start getting, those groups and clusters of your audience together. So that's no problem at all if you have a million. Cool. All right. Probably going to have to wrap it up soon, I think, guys. I'm well aware that we're 20 minutes over. Everyone's got still quite a lot of questions. So I'm having fun. I could stay here all day, but I understand we're all busy. I'm going to answer one more. So Corey said, once you have this pre-registration set up, is there a decent platform you could suggest to reach all of my database apart from MailChimp? Got 2,600, but the cost through MailChimp, yeah. Yeah, so I always recommend Audience Republic. That's what we use for Reminisce, and a lot of our clients use it. I also used it for Tailgate to launch Tailgate, and they used to be quite expensive, and they'd be a pre-sale campaign platform. But since they've bolted on their CRM functionality, so you can use it as a database, now they've become a lot more accessible to the masses. I think for Tailgate, when we started, it was a brand new event. Was $100 a month for a small amount of contacts. And then it goes up from there. But yeah, it's definitely not as pricey as MailChimp, because I totally agree. MailChimp can be a real pain in the ass. And the power of Audience Republic is way more powerful than MailChimp. So yeah, I definitely think that you should have a look at that because yeah, it's and also anyone on this call, if you guys want to sign up to Audience Republic, drop my name. You will get a really, really good discount because I work pretty closely with those guys, and I actually just had a meeting with them the other day, and they said they'll look after anyone who we refer on. So you will absolutely be able to get a good discount if you drop my name in the sign up process. You'll fill out your details, and then they'll reach out to you, and yeah, you'll be able to get a good discount. So go for it. Cool. Awesome, guys. We're going to have to wrap it up there. But if you guys have any more questions or anything, let me know. Any questions about the Sellout Academy, as I said, you can jump in. If you sign up, you'll get an email straight away. You can book straight into your one-on-one strategy session with me. We've got the workshop next Wednesday night where we'll all be on there. We'll all be looking at each other's campaigns and going through helping everyone through getting everything set up, the whole sellout marketing system, get your house in order, 10x your content, create the desire to buy now, and then convert with sales. That's the 4 modules, and that's what we're basically going through as we go along. So like I said, there's a ton of value there. The offer ends tonight, so we'll be doubling the price as of tomorrow. So if you want, you can jump in 7 days. If you don't think there's value, no worries at all. We'll just refund your money straight away. And of course, as I said, you can cancel anytime. So we'll shoot through all these details in email, and I hope you guys got so much value out of this session. I've had an absolute ball doing it. I'm going to look at all your questions later, and I'm probably going to send you a few emails and a few looms to help you out. But other than that, have an awesome rest of your Wednesday, and I will see you on the next workshop. Thanks, guys.